Canada's Refugee Board was ordered by a judge to rehear an application by a U.S. war resister to remain in Canada. Federal Court Justice Robert Barnes said that mistakes were made by Canada's Immigration and Refugee Board when they turned down Joshua Key's claim for asylum. In 2003, Key served 8 months in Iraq as a combat engineer. On his return to the U.S. on leave, he and his wife and 4 young children moved to Canada to seek refuge. In 2007, he co-authored a book, The Deserter's Tale, with Lawrence Hill, about his experiences in Iraq. Joshua's lawyer, Jeffrey House, talked to us about the judge's decision.
The Refugee Board found that Joshua Key was required, on a systematic basis as a soldier, to violate the Geneva Conventions. And that decision by the Refugee Board would have led to refugee status, except the board said, no, that's not enough. He must also show that he was required to commit war crimes. The justice the other day said, no, you're wrong. Even violations of the Geneva Conventions are sufficient to give a basis for a refugee claim.
What's Joshua's next step now?
Well, we have to wait and see whether the government of Canada appeals this decision. If they do, then we'll follow along the appeal and make the same arguments in the superior courts. If they don't, we will probably have a hearing in September or October.
There are more than 200 U.S. war deserters in Canada avoiding service in Iraq. A recent poll showed that 64% of Canadians would let U.S. war resistors stay in the country. On June 3rd, the Canadian Parliament passed a non-binding resolution calling for deserters to be allowed to stay and to put a halt to deportations. So far, Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper, a close ally of the Bush administration, has ignored the resolution. Sergeant Corey Glass, who is due to be removed from Canada next week, has made an internet appeal to the Prime Minister.
Hello, Prime Minister Harper. I'm Corey Glass, and I'm an Iraq War veteran. I left the U.S. because of my opposition to the Iraq War. If I'm returned to the U.S., I could face court-martial, jail time, or even redeployment to Iraq. I have not been discharged from the United States military, and I am now currently in the Individual Ready Reserve. The people of Canada support us. A recent poll shows that Canada wants war resistors to stay, and Parliament voted on June 3rd to allow us to stay in Canada. I have lived and worked in Canada for almost 2 years. I hope you will give full consideration to my case and the will of Canadian people, and please stop my deportation before July 10th. Thank you.
The July 10th deportation order is still in effect. But will this ruling by Justice Barnes help others?
I think it will primarily have an effect on people who've been soldiers in Iraq and who've been ordered to do things that are inappropriate. It's likely to have less of an impact on people whose objection to the Iraq War is simply the war violates international law, it was not defensive in nature. Those people can't really point to any specific on-the-ground order to violate the Geneva Conventions, and so they may be in a different situation. Overall, I would say the decision tells the board that it's been looking at these cases too narrowly, and I would expect there'd be a substantial number of cases that benefit from it.